it
Hey,
going?
how's it going?
Good, good. How about yourself?
Fantastic, fantastic. First of all, I want to thank you for accepting the invitation for the interview, man. The film was just hilarious. I have to say, it was just crazy good, man.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I liked it a lot. All right, we're gonna read First Date, the film, you guys. I have the director, Manuel Crosby, one of the directors. He's here with us to talk about the film, casting the film, the different actors, and there's a surprise actor in there that I thought I knew who she was, and then when I saw the credits, I said, "I'll be damned." So, welcome to the show, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, first, tell us about the film. Where did your inspiration come to make this type of film?
The inspiration really just came from movies that both Darren and I kind of had a mutual love of and kind of became friends, talking about and kind of having a shared enjoyment of. These kind of crazy movies that had weird casts of characters that come together in interesting, strange ways. Adventure movies, action movies, crime movies, thrillers, teen comedies. Like we liked all of this stuff, and of course, some of the great filmmakers, the Coen Brothers, Tarantino, Ryan Johnson stuff, and we just, I don't know, well, I was having car problems, which is why we came up with this particular idea. But we had wanted to make a feature film in our hometown of Valley Springs, where we both grew up, and where Darren still currently lives. And something about this idea of like one crazy night in the life of this innocent high school kid experiencing these crazy events and going through things that you have no idea would be going on out there, in the night in this quiet little town. That was just really exciting to me. And so when we were kicking around this idea over breakfast one day, I felt excited. I just felt this feeling like, we have to make this movie, not just come up with a story, but we should actually make this right here. And that's what we did.
Right. I mean, it's a perfect summer film. Now, filming in that particular location, this town you're in, was the town behind you, or were there like challenges? Yeah, outline some of the challenges of filmmaking, and how did you get past the challenges to get this movie to the screen?
Sure. Fortunately for us, the town, the people in the town were very supportive of what we were doing. Darren and I have been collaborating on short films since 2011, and Darren's been making films, in the area for much longer. So we actually knew quite a few people who were interested in helping us out on the project in small ways, like letting us shoot inside of in their homes or on their property, things like that. Just if we needed a prop for a scene, we could kind of find someone who knew someone who had like Mike's bike, for example, things like that. Um,
The one that was all beat up.
yeah,
Oh
ex-
man, Manuel,
exactly.
that brought back memories of me and my bike, man.
Yeah, yeah. I had to find someone who would be willing to, let their bike get a little bit abused. But anyway, as far as challenges, this was a low budget independent film, so things would fall through all the time. We were working around everybody's day jobs, including our own and our entire cast. So scheduling was one of the big challenges, and just finding out how to put a pretty ambitious, adventure story on the screen with limited means was a big challenge. But fortunately, Darren and I both come from kind of a DIY filmmaking background. We're really inspired by Robert Rodriguez, who's the king of low budget filmmaking. So I was rereading his book and taking his lessons to heart if we came across certain challenging scenes that we didn't know how we were going to pull off. And we just found a way through to tell the story, and as long, and we figured, if we could put 75% of what we imagined on the screen, but have compelling characters and an interesting story to carry you through, then lower production value in some places would be okay because we would have a cool story at the end of the day. And it actually turned out, even more large scale than we had expected going in. So it was a nice, that was a good feeling. But we're happy to see the end result. And when I watch it, my favorite things are the characters and the character dynamics. So, um, I guess we accomplished our goal there.
Yeah, there you have a lot of eclectic characters. You have it looked to me like the crazy, I would say the crazy cat lady or the
Yeah.
crazy cat man, and then you have the semi-typical police,
Yeah.
and you have, I mean, well, let's just talk about the main characters,
Sure.
Mike and Kelsey. How
Mm.
did you cast them? Because they are just so cute. How did
Oh,
you cast them?
yeah. Well, that was one of the bigger casting challenges since we were casting all out of our Northern California area, mostly from the Sacramento region, which is about an hour from Valley Springs where we filmed. Um, we weren't sure if we could find, younger actors who would be committed to a project like this over a longer shooting period than what's, typically done for film since we were working around schedules. Um, but we came across Tyson's audition, and in his audition video, he started it off by introducing himself. Hi, I'm Tyson Brown. I don't have anyone to read the lines with me. I'm so sorry. I'm just going to pretend that there's someone on the phone with me. And from that little intro, I was like, okay, this kid has a lot of the same character traits as Mike. And then watching his reactions and his facial expressions, we realized, he would do a great job because the character of Mike doesn't always say what he's feeling. He's very reactive, but you have to have an actor who can understand that. So
Mm-hmm.
we met Tyson and then Shelby, with her audition tape, we instantly saw, she had this confidence and this strength about her character, but also vulnerability as well and a kindness, And so we thought, okay, great, like let's get them together. We did a little screen test in Darren's garage in the car to test out the scene where they actually meet finally in the car for the first time in the film. So we shot that, and while we were shooting it, the chemistry was very clear, and we just were feeling like this is it, and it was magic on the screen. So that's how we cast them both.
You could tell. And when I think she asked him, or something paraphrasing, did you find your ball sack? I mean,
Yes.
dude, I almost fell out the chair, dude. I'm like, did she just say ball sack?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a funny little it started just as a one-off joke, I think, with Mike's friend, but then we realized this actually kind of, encapsulates some of the theme of the movie here, like a metaphor for his finding his courage and
Yes.
in a sailor mouth sort of way. But yeah, that was a fun
Yeah.
little.
And I mean, you could tell she was just teasing that on him. And he was, I mean, like you said, that shy kid. He didn't, okay, well, what do I do? And his
Yeah,
facial expressions were just spot on.
yeah, yeah,
The
definitely.
chase scenes. Well, before we go that, the senior citizens in the car. Dude, how did you guys get that? Because when I saw it, I was like, they're not. No, they're not.
Yeah.
Oh, hell no.
Well,
Ah,
the funny thing
and
about
being,
that,
I put myself in that kid's position. I'm like, somebody kill me, please.
right, right. Yeah, that was kind of just like born out of, first of all, the relationship between the characters. There was some backstory that we had kind of come up with the actors, where they were kind of making the most of their remaining time together as a couple. It doesn't really appear in the film as much outside of like certain expressions and whatnot, but then we're just like, what's the worst case scenario for this kid who was just trying to really make back the money he borrowed from his parents and do something nice for someone because his date's not happening. And we came up with that. And the funny thing about that was, when we were shooting that scene, it was very, very cold outside as well. And so it was, even more kind of awkward and strange, but the actors did such a good job with it. And then we even had a stunt double for the old lady, Thelma, who the stunt double's name was Susan McGarry, and then the actress's name was Sherry Schweigler. And both of them, it was fun to watch them collaborating on the stunts and things like that. And Graham Greene, who played Roger, was
Mm.
such a trooper, laying out there in the cold, and he even helped on the crew actually a little bit.
Is
So
that right?
yeah, he did. He did. Even on the days he wasn't supposed to be filming any scenes, he would come help out on the crew. So it was a wild situation on the screen, but fortunately, a great collaboration behind the scenes made it happen.
Yes. What was your shooting schedule like to film? Well, before we go to that, everyone, we're talking to Manuel Crosby, one of the directors of First Date. What was your shooting schedule like for this indie film?
it would definitely vary. A lot of it was done, on weekends or on days off that we all had. Darren's work schedule was kind of like a revolving schedule where he'd have different days off every week. So we just sort of plan around that. We'd film in 2 day chunks, sometimes three. If we could get a week off, we'd shoot for the whole week. Sometimes we would all work at our job and then come back and that night shoot for a couple hours and then go back to work in the morning. So it really just uh, it was all over the place, but we were shooting pretty heavily from September 2018 into spring of 2019, I'd say.
The other thing, since we got the schedule, the shooting schedule down, editing.
Mhm.
How much time did it take to edit this, to get it all together, to
Yeah,
have it go on the screen?
it took a while, but fortunately, since we were shooting in this way, I was able to edit while we were shooting and kind of see what we were getting.
Robert Rodriguez method.
Exactly, and see if it was working out, if we were
Hmm.
getting all the pieces we needed. So we actually made even a few script changes while editing because certain things worked better. By May 2019, I had the first edit of the movie, which was actually about 2 hours and 20 minutes long. And then we hooked up with a collaborator in El Paso by the name of Zach Becerro, who he and I, collaborated on that, and he was able to cut it down to what it is at now, an hour and 40 minutes. And so we had finished most of the post production by the time COVID happened. So it's just the last bit
Wow.
of sound, music, and visual effects that overlapped with COVID. So that got a little delayed, but I was able to drive out to Texas in the summer of 2020 and just be there for a couple of weeks and oversee the complete finishing of the movie. So um, yeah, it took a while, but it was well worth it.
Yes. Yes, it was. The chase scene with the police and Mike and what was it? Mike, oh gosh, Kelsey, and then they had the gang leader
Yeah.
in the car. How was that put together? Because I mean, it was fast paced. It was funny. We're waiting. Okay, Mike, this is your chance to step up. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, right. That was a lot of fun and safer to film than it seems on screen. We definitely took safety seriously as our number one priority. So, um, all of the car interior shots were actually filmed in a stationary car. Whenever they're driving at night, we'd have people shaking the car. I would be holding the camera, vibrating the camera a little bit. We'd have someone moving a flag in front of our light that was simulating the moonlight. And then
Damn.
we had some fans blowing right next to the window. We only had two, and one of them was really weak. So we put the strongest fan in the side that was like clearly in the background, and we throw dirt in front of it so it kind of blow past the window. And then you shoot that enough times, and you got have all the interior shots, and that's how we're able to kind of have the fight scenes and the moving car, and all that. And then to get the exterior shots, we were on a private property. Again, like a local contribution to the film. And our gaffer, Cody Martin, actually built this big LED softbox that he mounted on top of my Subaru. And so we had someone driving that car kind of at an angle to the Chrysler to get just enough light on it so you could see it, but you couldn't see too much. You couldn't see that there was different people driving the car. And then we did the same thing for the pursuing car with the police.
Mm-hmm.
only driving about 20 miles an hour or so, just kind of doing laps around this property. And kind of, there was this one turn that you could kind of sort of do a cool fishtail turn on. So we did a couple of those. Then we, sped it up in post and cut it in with the other shots. Excuse me.
Okay.
You add sound effects in there, and it's this fast-paced, incredible chase scene. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I didn't mention, I was to get the shots of the cars moving. I was actually in the back of our gaffer's van, which was also driving in front of the picture car. Just, I was strapped in there and holding the camera. So, uh, yeah, a lot of small pieces that.
Holy mackerel. I'm telling you, man, that was so good.
Oh, thank you.
The scene, it's like, I wouldn't say it's like gunfight at the OK Corral, but it's something similar to that. How was that put together? Because I mean, you're watching, you're anticipating, you're like, okay, okay. And all of a sudden, boom, it just everything goes off.
Yeah, yeah. So that was the most complicated thing I've ever filmed in my life, to be quite honest with you.
Hmm.
I think for everybody there, because we had everybody, almost everybody in the cast coming together for this one big scene. We had a limited budget, so we actually and we wanted to use blank firing guns, so we hired, a professional armor called ISS Props. They're some of the best in the industry. They've done some of the biggest Hollywood blockbusters down to small movies like ours. So they were able to train the actors on how to do this safely and they handle the firearms between takes and all that. So they were really a well-oiled machine. The real challenges came, number one, from scheduling that many people to show up. Number two, I had to figure out how many bullets could be shot, how many blank rounds could be fired, because we had a limited budget, and it came out to about 1.5 takes for every shot that somebody was supposed to be firing a gun. That was all we could afford to
Oh
do. So
man.
the actor didn't get it on take one. I would have to look at my tally marks of how many rounds we had left and say, okay, I guess we can do one more, but you have to get it this time. And then
That's right.
yeah, and we planned the entire scene over 2 rehearsal days, kind of like, it started with Darren and I just walking around figuring out where people could go. Then I drew it out, mapped things out. We had the actors run through it as if they're preparing for like a dance or something like that, to know their marks. And then we shot the thing, like I said, over 5 days. I storyboarded every shot. So even though it seems very chaotic, every shot was planned, because we couldn't afford to shoot more than what we needed. And then you cut it all together at the end with all, we had blood gags and bullet hits and things like that. That on the set takes some time to set up, and you do it, it doesn't really work right the first time, so you do it again. Maybe you get one spray of blood and then you do it again. But when you cut it all together fast paced like that, it's just, fast and furious and exciting. So that was a huge collaboration from our entire crew and cast, and it's really fun to watch it, to see how it turned out.
The neck shots, man. You see
Yeah,
the neck shots.
yeah. So that actually was a small little compressed air pump you can use to inflate a bike tire, and we had a tube running up the actor's shirt, and he was holding the thing, so he triggered it himself, and then goes like that, and the blood comes gushing out. Yeah.
Looked real, looked real.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Manuel, who casted the cats? Did they have
Well,
a screen test? I mean, all those cats in there. I mean, like, holy man, whoa.
so some of those cats actually were at that location of Darla's house. Our friend, who was kind enough to let us shoot in her home, that's how it looked when we got there, and she had those cats in there. She loves cats, so it was very easy. And then I actually thought there should be more cats, so I went to my mom's house and filmed a few extra shots of my mom's cats, like looking around at stuff. So that's how
God bless the cat people.
yeah, seriously.
Now, Manuel, when the film was finished and there's a two-part question. You got to see the final edit.
Mhm.
Take us back to your first emotion when you got to see the final edit, the music, the scores, everything put together.
Mhm. Oh man, that's a good question. The first time I'm trying to remember the first time I watched it when it was fully complete. It was you see it a thousand times while you're working on it.
Yeah.
So it actually takes some time to be able to step back and enjoy it like a normal person would.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember we watched it at Darren's house with our actors, Tyson, Shelby, a few other people were there. Um, and they were loving it. They were laughing. They were so stoked that they got to be a part of this movie and seeing their reactions to it, being their first, especially being their first movie that they were in. uh, that was that was worth it. That was
Yeah.
really worth it to be able to, because when we started this thing, nobody really knew. They trusted us to finish it, but they didn't know for sure if we were going to or not, or if it was going to be any good. So they put a lot of trust in us, and to be able to have given them something that they were really excited about and happy to have been a part of, that was a great feeling. So I'll always remember that.
That was my next question. How did the cat well now it's been on the big screen.
Mhm.
How did the cast feel and you sitting in a theater and you're seeing it in that type of big screen, not the smaller one, but that huge movie theater experience? What was that like for you guys?
That was pretty amazing. I mean, especially with the sound done by Andrew Smitic, our sound designer, it comes to life in a whole other way on the big screen. And the cast, they were loving it. They had such a great time at the premiere at the Tower Theater in Sacramento. I mean, they were blown away and so excited to get to have that experience after a year of being kind of stuck
Yeah,
inside.
locked down. Ugh.
Yeah, it was a great way to come back and get people together and get to watch something cool. So, and we when we made the movie, we never expected it would get that far, but that's every filmmaker's dream to be able to have a movie come out, in theaters. So, Darren and I were just so thankful that we got that opportunity.
There's also a sneaky person was in there. Let me Brie Larson.
So that's a different Brie Larson than yeah, Brie
Okay.
Larson. But we always joke about that. How
So did she bring her Oscar with her?
yeah, now she Brie Larson, our Brie Larson, our friend, played the very rude nurse.
Yes, yes, she was.
Yeah, but she was when we filmed her scene, and she actually worked at that hospital and was able to get us hook up to film there too. But when we
Wow.
filmed her scene, she started out being a very nice, sweet nurse, like she is in her real job. And then I just asked her to play the opposite, and she was so embarrassed. She's like, "Oh, okay, I'll do my best." And then we called action. And I was just laughing so hard behind the camera. I thought, okay, this is a little weird, but this has to go in the movie. So,
Yeah,
a great
believe me, there would be some people who would strangle her from
job.
that her little scene. There would be some folks who would strangle
Oh,
her
I bet.
because
I
yeah,
bet.
the way she came at folks, that she would get
Yeah.
strangled. A couple of final questions. Who were the two police officers?
So the two police officers were played by Nicole Berry, who's a good friend of mine, and we actually had her in mind for that part when we wrote it. And then Sam Ademola, who we met on this film, played Deputy Duchovny, and they were both so good together. They're both such amazingly talented actors, and they bring a lot of nuance to their characters. So there's a lot going under the surface between these two characters that isn't necessarily explicitly spelled out in the dialogue. And I
Right.
love that. And so having conversations with them and with Tyson about the way they were going to be interacting in their scenes, and then the reveals that happen throughout the film. uh,
Yes.
I couldn't think of anyone better to bring those two characters to life.
Right. Folks, before we go, there's an after credit scene that is damn near worth the price of admission. We're not going to say what it is, but I mean, I laughed my tail off when I saw the little after credit scene. I was like, oh, they Mm, 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 mm,
Yeah,
mm. Yep.
yeah.
Well,
No, they.
folks, yeah, I'm telling you. So it's on. You can look. I mean, follow it, tweet it out. I'll have all the social media, places where you can interact with the film. Manuel Crosby, director of the film First Date. I'm telling you guys, it's you're gonna laugh. I mean, you are gonna laugh in the situation that those two get into. And Manuel, can we just say love triumphs at the end? Can we just say that love triumphs?
Yes, it does, and yeah, happy to say that love is definitely a running theme throughout the movie, and
Yep.
glad to say that it does have its day at the end. So
Yes, it does. Manuel, dude, I can't wait. Just thank you so much for coming on the show, my friend, and good luck with all your future film endeavors. And yeah, I love Robert Rodriguez. I mean, he was one of the reasons why I kept doing what I do because reading his story, how he shot his first film, and he's of the mind, as you probably know, I don't care whatever camera you got, just go out there and shoot something. Go out there, mess it up, and you get better.
hmm absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you again, man. Take care of yourself now.
You too.